The following presentation was produced to show how one environmental oil recycling business, Aran Oil Company, has made a positive and significant contribution to the massive cleanup, recovery, and recycling effort imposed by the 2010 Gulf oil spill. On April 20, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig explosion killed 11 platform workers, injured 17 others, and created the largest marine oil spill in the history of the petroleum industry. The Gulf of Mexico oil spill, also referred to as the BP oil disaster, stemmed from a seafloor blowout that resulted from the collapsed oil rig breakup and a faulty blowout preventer valve. The spill has caused extensive damage to marine and wildlife habitats, as well as the Gulf's fishing and tourism industries. Scientists have also reported immense underwater plumes of dissolved oil not visible at the surface. Environmental cleanup companies from all over the world flocked to the Gulf Coast area to respond to this disaster. Crews worked non-stop to contain oil and protect hundreds of miles of beaches, wetlands, and estuaries along the northern Gulf Coast. Using skimmer ships, floating containment booms, anchored barriers, and barricades along shorelines. As the frenzy of the initial response efforts escalated on and offshore, Aran Oil Company watched, waited, and evaluated how the company could best utilize its technology, assets, and experience to help with the cleanup effort. Three basic approaches to removing the oil from the water have been burning offshore, oil-water separation, and collecting for the oil for later processing. BP stated that more than 215,000 barrels of oil-water mix had been recovered by May 25, 2010. In early June, BP contacted Aran Oil Company as a primary resource and requested an audit and inspection of its operations. After the initial audit was complete, a contract and scope of work was developed to do pilot testing on the recovered oil emulsion. Using proprietary software process control strategies and data analysis, work began immediately at the Aran Oil Research and Development Facility. After determining the best process, treatment, and reclamation approach to recover the oil for beneficial use, Aran Oil Company was asked by BP for a proposal. The proposal would include a comprehensive safety plan and operating procedures with engineering and design work for a complete mobile oil recovery process to meet BP's requirements. Aran Oil Company officials also met with the mayor of Saraland, Alabama for approval and community support for the project. With the approvals in place from BP, local city leaders, and community support assured, work began immediately setting up a special mobile process dedicated exclusively for the BP project. Work on the project was carried out on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week time frame until the strategic effort was complete and ready to receive the oil-water emulsion. The International Used Oil Research Institute and the Research and Engineering Department at the Aran Oil facility also provided its services to other researchers and industry experts working with BP's environmental contractors. Recommendations were made for the best management solutions to process oil and oil-contaminated materials from the Gulf oil spill cleanup effort. By June 28, BP had successfully removed 890,000 barrels of oily liquid and burned about 314,000 barrels of oil. The Coast Guard said 33 million gallons of tainted water had been recovered, with 5 million gallons of that consisting of oil. An estimated 11 million gallons of oil were burned, and 826,000 barrels recovered or flared directly off the well. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, estimated a third of the oil had been removed from the Gulf. In mid-July 2010, Aran Oil Company began receiving barge-load quantities of oily water emulsion for initial separation. With the barge unloading and gravity phase separations complete, the oil began transportation by truck for unloading at the mobile processing facility at the Aran Oil facility. By late July 2010, 2 weeks after the flow of oil had stopped, oil on the surface of the Gulf had largely dissipated. Concern still remains for underwater oil and ecological damage. The use of dispersants was a major factor in the rapid disappearance of oil on the water surface. According to a NOAA report, about half of the oil leaked into the Gulf, or 103 million gallons, the equivalent of 9 Exxon Valdez disasters, remains on or below the Gulf surface. The total oil collection to date for the spill was estimated at 660,000 barrels. All recovered materials received at the Aran Oil facility are subject to the highest industry operation standards, referencing the International Standards Organization, ISO 14001 and 18001, and the Occupational Health and Safety Management System, OSAS 18001. At this time, Aran Oil Company is the only oil recycling facility in the world that has been audited and certified by these rigid industry standards. Because the oil spill cleanup efforts are ongoing and may continue for a number of years due to submerged and surface oil that continues to wash ashore along the Gulf Coast states, Aran Oil Company remains focused on its critical role assisting BP and their contractors in this unprecedented environmental challenge of restoring our Gulf waters.